to order, beginning with the land acknowledgement statement. On Tuesday, October the 8th, 2024, we acknowledge that this sacred land on which Smiths Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smiths Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. Okay, first item of business is approval of the agenda, and we have some additions to the agenda. The first one is resignation of one of our committee members. The second one is the heritage easement at the Gallipo Center. And the third one is the pigeons. Central School, I guess they're on the roof of Central School, I do believe. We'll put them, I guess, as items 3, 4, and 5 under priority issues. That's okay. Would someone move that we adopt that agenda, please? Jenny, and a seconder, Dawn, thank you. Next item is the adoption of the minutes of Tuesday, September 17th. Assuming everyone's had a chance to read those, would someone move that they be adopted? Dawn, thank you, and a seconder, Jenny, thank you. The minutes are approved. I liked how concise they were too, Marie. Good minutes.
Thank you.
Disclosure of monetary interest. Anyone? No? Hearing none, let's go ahead with the priority issues. The first item is the Heritage Conservation District update.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody got a copy of the draft plan, the draft report from Stantec.
You mean the book?
Yeah, the book.
Yes.
That's the one.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I just wanted to again make sure that you received it. And there were some particular questions that you might want to consider answering when you're reading through it. What does this report mean for the municipal heritage community? Where are we now in the process, now that we have this draft report, and what's next? And then again, paying a particular attention, I think Stantec's interested in the history aspect of the report, and keen to get, of course, your comments, as always, on the map.
So as you can see, there's a lot of research that went into it, a lot of detailed analysis, and certainly you folks know the town in much greater depth than they do, and they freely acknowledge that. So certainly, if there's something they got wrong or something that was misplaced in that analysis that ultimately feeds into their recommendation, by all means, that we'd welcome that feedback. So just procedure-wise, as you know, the public information session, the second open house, has been scheduled for November 7th. So our hope is to get a draft out to the public so they have an opportunity to review that a couple of weeks beforehand. So given the timing of when we received the report last week, and certainly we weren't going to be putting this on the MHC agenda looking for comments today, but we're looking for we'll assemble a consolidated feedback from town staff as well as yourselves, and we've asked for the 16th for the feedback, but I think in anything that comes in before then, we will put together in a single set of comments that we'll send back to Stantec, which may inform some revisions to their draft. And again, as Marie noted, I think we'll keep a closer eye on the mapping. I think Dorothy and I have found a couple of areas that we want to have a closer look at. And I think now's the time to have this conversation.
So it's going to go out to the public in how is that going to happen?
So we haven't worked out those details just yet. We assume we'll probably have a draft on our website, on our webpage. At this point, it's considered to be more or less an internal document where it's being reviewed by MHC members and staff. But
so after that, it goes out for public study?
That's right. So it'll form part of the public record leading into the open house. We'll probably have a couple of weeks of comments after the open house as well. That'll inform a final draft, which will be published well in advance of going to council at the beginning of December. So the hope is that the HCD study will be presented to council for consideration and direction early December, and there will be opportunity to accommodate feedback that comes from that next round of public engagement then.
Okay. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
We just finished the priority issue number 1.
All right.
Your package over there, which was the Heritage Conservation District update. And Carl said we have until October 16th to provide our feedback for the for the draft report.
Great.
Okay, next thing then, unless there's any more conversation about that. No? The symposium update. This is where we get to talk about tables. So, when we were over there having a look around, they were saying things like, well, you can put round tables in here that seat 8 people, but we don't have them. That's why I asked you about that. We don't have that. We have those stand-up, those small round tables where people stand up to eat their lunch. What if there are people who need to sit down?
Yeah.
That's my concern about only having stand-up tables.
Could we set up a couple tables, maybe, at the back where the waiting room used to be for the VIA? Is there space there for?
Perhaps, because the theater does have some rectangular tables. They've got 6, they said. The caterer wouldn't use more than 2. So we can't expect everyone to want to stand to eat their lunch, right?
Yeah. Well, and if we put standing tables upstairs, if you can get up the stairs, then you can probably stand. But I think if we put too many tables down at the around where the food is, it just gets congested.
It'll be very crowded, because she suggested that you could have 5 of those tables in there, each one seating 8 people, but I think it would be. I really think it would be too crowded if you did, and we don't have them anyway. So,
and it depends too on if we get 60 or 70 people, like sometimes you wouldn't be able to fit them all at the tables would take up all the space, and you wouldn't fit them all.
Yeah. So we just have to decide. You said you had 9 of those.
We have 9 of the taller round tables with the green top. And then we can supplement any of the longer. We don't have any round, the 6-foot rectangle.
Oh, you've got some of them
We have
too.
some of those that we could supplement.
So we should have plenty of tables available then, that we don't have to actually rent any.
I think so.
Yeah, and
that'll be fine.
they've got chairs over there as well. But again, probably, well, they might have enough chairs actually if some people are going to stand up. So.
Hi, Paul.
Hello. So we'll.
Are you in a meeting right now?
You're not here for the symposium?
Are you in session right now? Oh, sorry.
Yes, we are.
I've lost my train of thought.
Talking about tables and chairs.
About the time in the morning.
I think we can bring them over at 7:30.
You think so, eh? Because with it being a Monday.
We can't get in before Sunday, so I don't think that'll be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't get in until Monday. So that's okay, Jenny?
Yeah.
You see that Glass made that, but that's way too
Okay.
big for the little round tables. He made that for a centerpiece.
Would it be okay on the rectangles?
It's a lot bigger than I thought it would be. So yes, it would. It would. And on the whatever you call that bank, you know,
Yes. Yep.
the countertop thing.
Food setup
Yeah.
tables.
Yeah.
Maybe a few along the front stage as well. We
Well,
could
that's
do-
true. They could go on. Yeah, you could. That's
Along
true.
the-
They could go there.
Yeah.
So whatever he brings, we can use wherever. Just
So who
I-
did those?
class.
Made them. He said he has 16 available for us.
So on those little round tables, I don't think we'd put anything on. We wouldn't put any centerpiece, would you? Are there? Do they have cloths, or are they just the table?
They're just a table.
Okay.
They should be fine. Any of the other tables will probably need a tablecloth. Any of the longer rectangle ones.
Do we have such a thing?
No.
We have tablecloths.
No, but I've run into this issue before where we need them, so I'll talk to Carl and see if we have a budget for them. Because I'm sure it won't be the only event that we would be using tablecloths at.
Just, like if people are going to eat off the top of them, they've been in the rink for a long time, so it's like
Yeah.
not the nicest top.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It would. Those rectangular tables would look better with the cloth, I suppose, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Are there other things that we need to talk about today with regards to the?
I don't think so. I just wanted to let you know. I know everybody's working away on getting things organized. It's really coming together. Currently, we have, just wanted to let you know, we have 31 participants registered, including yourselves and speakers and so forth. And last year, the count was 39. So I think we're on track right now. And there's some more exciting promotion coming up, but I won't speak to that.
How many speakers did you end up getting?
Well, right now we only have 3 confirmed. If nothing else happens this week, I'll still have feelers out, but I think then we should probably adjust the program and go with the 3. Because we're getting low on time.
So I thought about Bruce Linton, but I don't know how available he is. You know, the other one I thought about was Chris Samir.
What does he know about heritage conservation districts?
Well, what was the RCA theater building? Cornelia Court. Was it not?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just, and the old high school, like what he did with that.
in the water treatment plant.
Well, no, we can't put that one in there.
Yeah. I don't know. I think for heritage conservation districts, if we're trying to keep it on focused on that topic,
And that well could be.
yeah.
He just popped into my head, and might not be the fit that we want. And you know what? If you only have 3, you only have 3. And you just make.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the day can be adjusted time-wise. It can.
Nobody complains when it's over early.
That's true. That's true. No, I think we need to stick to the theme. I mean, that was the whole idea, right? Informing people about the benefits of having a heritage conservation district in our downtown, which we are hoping we will have. Anything else on that? I guess not.
Sorry. In the past, we have had a little gift for our speakers.
Yes.
I wonder if that's something.
Marie has that under control.
I do.
We met and we had a list. Well, Marie had a list, I had a list, and we worked through the logistics of all those things. So yes, we've got that. Oh, and the other thing I was going to ask was that we take turns, committee members, doing the intro and the thanking. So I thought I would do the first one since I have to go up there anyway to welcome. And are we having the mayor? Do we know?
I don't know. I can ask him.
Yeah, the welcome would be either the mayor or it would be you, Chris, I suppose. It's a welcome from the town first,
Sure.
and then it's a welcome from the committee, which I would do. And then if I'm up there anyway, I thought I would introduce the first speaker and thank him, and then there's a break, and then if, we can share that duty, so it's not just me up there all the time. I don't want to be
Yeah.
up there all the time. That's okay? All right,
So
good.
I'll pursue asking the mayor, and I'll let you know.
Okay.
It should be good to get him there.
Yes, it would be good to get him there. We'd like him to be there too, along with the councillors who have indicated that they're going to attend.
Do we know if any of the signups are from the DBA or the chamber or downtown businesses, or how's that marketing going?
So, so far I have Citizen, but I don't have anybody yet, DBA or downtown business that I can think of offhand.
We could still start when I run into
Yeah.
people, start putting the pressure on. We can.
Yeah, we have a lot of.
Has this gone out to the DBA?
Oh yeah, that was one of the first ones, the DBA and the chamber, and I know that Megan circulated to their membership, as well as the chamber circulated to their membership.
Maybe we should push them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think so, because that's why we picked Monday,
Yeah.
so when their stores would be closed.
And if we could get the DBA and the chamber, like I get the chamber's emails, I don't think I get the DBA's emails, but if they could put a blast, sometimes they'll put a blast out if there's an event or something going on.
I don't remember getting anything from them.
No way. So maybe if we could get Leslie and Megan to push that out there for us.
Well, Maria, you were certainly in contact with them, weren't you? When we picked
And they
the
have
date?
circulated the save the date in the press release, but I think it's a great idea to get back to them and ask them to maybe do it again, and ask them if there's anyone in specific who's, showed some interest. Maybe I can give them a shout, do some door knocking, like via phone call,
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay. Any more conversation about the symposium? No? Okay, the next item on the agenda is the heritage easement for the Gallipo Center. Would you like to start, Carl, or would you?
Yeah, Councillor McGuire requested it to be added to the agenda, so
Yes. Okay.
I'll defer to him.
All right.
To
Yeah, so I don't know. Jenny was there last night. It caught me off guard that the council passed a resolution to request the province take away the heritage easement for the property. And the frustrating part about that is that the easement's the only tool right now in the planning toolbox that would prevent any demolition or alteration of the site. So absence of a designation, which we know takes years, just from our committee's experience with trying to get houses going, it doesn't seem like that's going to be a stopgap, and it doesn't to just take away the easement black and white like that is it just leaves this vacuum of policy that in theory could lead to the total demolition of the site if it was sold, and that was what the proponent was wishing to do. So I think the committee should pass a resolution in support of making sure that there's proper process in place before the easement's removed. If the easement needs to be removed to redevelop the site, fair enough, because apparently that's been a stumbling block time after time with the redevelopment and the sale. But we need to have something in place before we remove the easement, because to remove the easement without any kind of designation or anything else would be to create a vacuum that could create significant problems.
Whose
So-
role is it to remove the easement? It's not council, is it?
No, and this is the
Mm,
frustrating thing is council has no mandate to work with, like the province didn't solicit feedback from council, and council doesn't have a mandate in the process to really contribute, but they decided to go above and beyond and provide this unsolicited resolution. So any resolution we would provide would be the same style, where it's not mandated, we're not, there's nothing legislated that Municipal Heritage Committee would have to be consulted. But I do think within our terms of reference, it's within our mandate to comment on it.
So what was the resolution that was passed?
That is a good question. I can pull it up here, but the essential trigger line of it was to request that the province remove the easement of X Queen's, 361 Queen Street.
And it was quite a discussion. I really don't understand why they put that in place in the first place. I don't, but who are we? We can't question that happened quite a few years ago. But I do know people that are out there, and that building is getting in terrible shape. So if they don't get moving on it pretty soon, because the roof is leaking majorly in some places. And I think this has been a stumbling block with purchasing the property, because they know that their hands are tied to a certain degree.
Yeah, which I don't think that, I think the committee's got a really good track record of working with people that want to renovate heritage buildings or redevelop heritage buildings. But the problem, if we just let this easement go away without something replacing it, that's where the problem comes, right? That's where it's like, and I do understand why they put this easement on the property. It was because these properties existed mostly in rural Ontario with municipalities that didn't always have municipal heritage committees. And they represented a significant cultural and historical aspect of the community, of employment, of the mixed history of the residents that lived there. And it was important to preserve that. Like, if you think of other sites that would be similar, that would be preserved, it'd be similar to like a residential school, or even if you go to Europe and you look at buildings they preserved with a really bad history associated with World War II, those buildings are more powerful standing as an opportunity to learn from them than it is to have just an empty field or a plaque or that kind of thing. So I think the province at the time, when they were decommissioning them, saw the importance of that and saw that the municipalities might not have the resources or the tools in place to properly protect them. And a big condition of the sale originally, and why it was sold at a reduced price, was because the buyer had to agree to the conditions of the easement. So the same buyer that's asking for the easement or the seller now that's trying to get the easement away, agreed to all of these terms and conditions when they bought the property at a significantly reduced price. So to me, it's very similar to the water treatment plant, where we're talking about giving something away because we want to preserve the heritage asset. But then with the heritage asset removed, we're still talking about giving something away instead of selling prime real estate land. So I understand that it needs to change. I understand that this easement has been a stumbling block. It needs to get redeveloped. But something needs to be in place at the site that keeps some of that character of that site alive.
Can we do that, though? Can we, as a municipality, be ready to step in and put something on that, Carl?
Well, we could very quickly ask for it to be declared a property of interest, which is the first step towards normal designation, which
do we have any rights until this is off?
Oh, maybe not.
So I can, Madam Chair, I can certainly assess what we have. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't, theoretically, why council wouldn't be able to pass a resolution listing it as a property of interest. So I think at the end of the day, if this easement comes off, and I don't know how long, what the process is, how long it would take in the provincial hands. It might take quite some time. But if the easement were to come off, and certainly we would be well positioned to think about from this end, it doesn't remove our ability to protect the heritage. It would download that responsibility to the municipality. We can consider a Part 4 designation, a Part 5 designation, or potentially, and I would need to give a little bit of investigation into some of the tools under the Planning Act with respect to demolition control, and see if those might make sense. At the end of the day, council will need to give us direction, and the Municipal Heritage Committee is certainly moving forward, has that as there's consideration of the heritage responsibilities being delegated to the municipality from the province, then certainly there's a role for the Municipal Heritage Committee in providing advice to council in terms of guiding their next steps on the process. But certainly staff can take a closer look at some of the tools that we have, both on the shorter term and on the longer term, that might might be worth looking at.
So could we defer until the next meeting when you have a chance to do that? Is that,
My take would be no, because for the resolution that I would propose we pass tonight would be more of that the easements stay in place until the municipality comes up with an alternative means of preserving the historical significant aspects of the property. Kind of whereas the property has historical significance as documented in the existing heritage easement, and that certain aspects of that significance can be preserved with redevelopment. Therefore, we need to have something in place to protect that, whatever tool that's going to be before that easement can be lifted.
I'm just concerned that we don't have enough information. It's something that we've only just heard about like yesterday kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess I'm just concerned if we wait, if the resolution from the town's going to the province probably today. So if we wait a month, I don't know that we need to be specific in the resolution about whether we talk about like there's no way we're going to put a heritage conservation district there. It's been 10 years in the making to try to get one downtown.
No, we're not.
But to designate the property, it's an extremely complex property to designate.
Mhm.
And I don't know what other tool, for the amount of years we've been doing this, I don't think anybody can think of another tool that we've got to recommend. And even the designation tool has been watered down so much by the government in the last term, so I just don't know what new information would be able to change it, but it's just something's got to be in place for that property. If you're going to pull this easement away, you can't leave a vacuum in its place, in my opinion. But yeah.
Okay, Jenny?
I just can't remember. Hopefully somebody can refresh my memory because the legislation changed. If it's a property of interest, how long do we have to designate it? Or
2
else,
years.
Or else it's
No, it's longer now.
So
5 years, isn't it?
I'd need to check because I know they extended it for properties that were
They were already on the list.
That were already
Yeah.
on the list. But for new properties that we're adding onto it, I believe the 2 years still applies. It may be 5. I'd check there.
Because after the 2, you lose if it doesn't get designated, right? If it sits in limbo
That's
as a
right.
property of interest, then you lose the opportunity.
And you can't put it
For a
back
long
on for
time.
5 more years. That's,
I'd be worried it would get caught in that.
Yeah. And the properties of interest tool is something the province seems to be closing the door on, right? Like it's not what it used to be.
Yeah, that's true. With the time limitation, for sure.
Used to be a tool where we can just commemorate properties on our own without imposing that sort of obligation. Now the province seems to be evolving it as simply a tool that's a precursor to designation and nothing else.
Yes, that's true. Okay, well, if you want to go ahead with it, will you word the resolution then?
I can word one maybe in principle right now and then fine tune it after. And if there's agreement in principle, we can distribute the exact wording after, or just because I don't have anything.
I know.
It happened last night and I've been over
That's
all
why
day.
I suggested we.
Yeah, I guess I'm just worried about the timing. I'm not sure how urgent or how quick this is moving, but
I think I hear your concerns, I do, but I can't imagine the province moving that fast on it. I really can't. I just,
No, I can't either.
no.
What do you think, Carl? Would they?
I guess the question is how interested is the minister or
In getting rid of it.
Yeah.
yeah. So the
That-
minister
that-
was in town yesterday. That's why I'm nervous. The minister goes through town and then this comes on the council agenda. So that's where I definitely think,
That was a coincidence, though, right?
no, I don't think that was a coincidence. I'm pretty sure the minister toured the site yesterday,
The Minister of.
Municipal Affairs and Housing, which isn't the Minister of
Oh.
Culture, Tourism, and et cetera, but
Right.
there's definitely provincial boots on the ground in town yesterday. And I just don't know, that doesn't happen very often, right? So it's
Mhm.
just a really unusual set of coincidences that have come together.
Jenny?
If we pass a resolution, who do you suggest it goes to?
I think the Ministry of Tourism, Culture, and Sport, or whatever else. The same whoever the resolution went to last night to the same, and I would CC council, but
They're gonna get one from, yeah.
yeah, they'll get one from the town, they'll get one from the committee, and I think it's just good to show that it's not a unanimous, there is heritage significance here because.
Well, it would show our concern for the site, right? That just our concern that if they take that off, you know, we need to have some other way to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the province wants it removed, I assume. I tried to watch, you know, I tried to watch the council meeting today, but it wasn't up. Wasn't on YouTube, so I'm still in the dark, really. About it wasn't even there. So, do you want to, or do you want to do it? Do you want to circulate it?
Let me think of the points we want to make are there's significance, there's an easement, there's nothing going. I don't know, I hate wording these things on the fly.
I know. And again, that's why I suggested, I can't
Yeah.
imagine that by a month, you know, in a month that the province will, but maybe if they're looking at it now, I don't know.
Why don't you put your thoughts together, put them on paper, you know, get it, and then if we have to call an emergency meeting, it just means we come in and
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a
like
good
we can do
idea.
that, but like
Yeah.
in before too, and we've voted on stuff in principle and then wordsmithed it a bit after and then finalized it. But
Coming back for a quick meeting, though, is probably a better idea.
yeah, or we could
Because-
even do a quick meeting at the symposium.
Yes, we could, because, yeah.
Chair?
Agreeing to something that we haven't worked out is, yeah, please.
I'll take the direction of the committee, but there is precedent where we have, as Councillor indicated, where we have sort of worked on and wordsmithed the resolution and sort of fine-tuned some of the wording and then sort of obtained consensus that way. So we can
Okay,
do that if that's the committee's will. We can do that in advance of, or perhaps in conjunction with perhaps in advance of a special meeting.
all right.
So I think I'm going to imply that the committee is also interested in sort of a deeper dive into some of those tools that we have. I think there's a few questions that I'd need to ask around in terms of demolition control and sort of the legalities of the
Yes.
easement, and perhaps that might be maybe you don't need that information before you pass the resolution, but that information can kind of frame the next steps and the decision points that are going to have to be, or that the council can look at in the more medium term.
Right. I would appreciate that. I think we all would, yes. So are we doing something in principle now, or are you? In principle, we are concerned that if the heritage easement is removed before we are able to implement other ways of protecting the property, that's our concern, right?
Yeah,
nicely said.
Yeah.
If it helps, I wrote down earlier that leaves a vacuum. Wants resolution to make sure there is a proper process in place to preserve before the easement is removed.
Yeah.
so maybe whereas the existing heritage easement at I think 361 Queen Street
Yeah.
exists due to significant cultural, historical, what are those three? I'm drawing a blank on this. You know what I mean? The three or the five designation criteria. Contextual, and therefore removing the easement removes any protections or ability to manage the redevelopment in the historical context, and also leaves the property vulnerable to demolition. Therefore, the Municipal Heritage Committee resolves that additional policy needs to be developed, or I guess, yeah, policy to protect the property in the absence of a heritage easement.
Okay.
But maybe when we look at that on text and all, you know what I mean? There's ways we can make it a little smoother.
Yeah, but that sounds good. Now, is
Do
it,
you want me to repeat it back to you?
If we're okay to do it through email, probably.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
so is it a motion for seconder? Do we?
I would
You're
move
moving
that,
this,
yeah.
and who seconds it? So you second it, Dawn? So all in favor? Okay, thank you.
A question that I had last night, I didn't ask it, but when you do designations like that, does it have to be the whole building or parts of it? Like parts of it that have significant value and.
Yeah, so the great thing in 2006, the province rewrote the Ontario Heritage Act. And the problem we have in Smith Falls is a lot of our bylaws were from before that. So it was just kind of this vague statement. But now it's very oriented around specific details or attributes that represent the significance. So when you look at, say, the old post office building, like you've got things like the clock tower and the shape of the windows and the stone and different aspects like that. The problem with the Rideau Regional site is that it's so complex and so sprawling that it's at a level of magnitude that I don't know that very many MHCs ever have to take on. And then it comes to a resource question of, okay, do we pay a consultant? And then if we go through of all of that, is council even going to approve it? Because any kind of heritage designation is still, just by the nature, represents a conflict with the developer that wants to have the ability to do whatever they want. Right? So, but I think for this is the problem with the easement, is it seems like the easement is this umbrella protection, whereas a designation could single out the things that we want to keep or want to try to keep.
Like the front of the building.
Yeah.
That front section.
Yeah.
You know, but then when you move towards the back in some of those other areas.
Yeah. I'd like to make those compromises, right?
Carl?
An interesting example is the old high school. So the designation legally applies to property as a whole. So the old high school at Two Gould is designated, but the only feature that's listed and identified is the arch. So if somebody were to put in a little shed at the very back on the field, then there wouldn't be a heritage impact. But if development were to either alter the arch or sort of alter sort of that landscape immediately around the arch, then that would need to be managed through a heritage process. So I think as Councillor McGuire indicated, the Gallipo Centre is incredibly complex, and the easement that's in place right now has some degree of rules for almost everything on the property. There's stronger rules inside the ring road. There's some of the buildings towards the back. There's a little bit more flexibility in how it can be developed. But even beyond the ring road, there are rules about sort of the angles of the street intersecting with the ring road. And ultimately, they're all intended to sort of recognize that contextual situation of that complex on that property overlooking the Rideau with access by the alley. So in the event that council wishes to proceed with, council can choose to designate any or all or some or none of that. That's sort of where council has that ability, if we are to designate the property, to pick and choose what's most important. So council would be within their right to identify, say, the administration building or certain elements, contextual elements of that access road that are really important, but perhaps can be more flexible in terms of some of those, the laundry room at the back or what have you. And I think that's probably a conversation that sort of exceeds the resources of staff we have on call. So I think that we'd likely be looking at engaging a heritage expert to kind of help us walk through that process if that's what council wants to do. But I think it's fair to say if that is the step, we obviously want to do it right.
Okay.
That's good.
Sorry, I skipped over one of the additional agenda items. I just wanted to announce that one of our committee members, Lorraine Allen, has resigned from the committee. And I'm certainly sorry to see her go, but I do know she's had some health issues lately, so I hope that she recovers soon. And the other thing that we added to the agenda was the pigeons. I guess that's
Yes.
you again, Chris. Pigeons on the roof.
Yeah, we still have pigeons. I don't know what the best way to try to prioritize it would be, but I'm wondering if it's got the criteria for a property standards complaint. Is that the next tool to use? Because when I think of the water treatment plant, it's the last time we had a situation like this, we didn't act strong enough. So in my head, I'm thinking that's the next step. I don't know if that is the next step or not, but if it is, what do we do to get the pigeons out of the town hall?
Pigeons will go inside anything on a roof that they can get into.
Yeah.
You see them around town. People, a little bit of their, whatever you call it,
Yeah.
has come off and the pigeons are in there. So it's because they can go inside that little structure, right? And they're going to keep on doing that. Unless the thing is taken off the roof, and I don't suppose we want that.
No, but I don't, there's a lot of similar structures. Like you think of the churches in town, it's not like every church steeple's full of pigeons.
No, of course not.
But when it comes to the town, it seems to be this thing that we just can't figure out. So,
Well, it needs to be figured
just-
out. No,
yeah.
I'm not saying that
Yeah.
that we shouldn't. I just mean that that's what pigeons do, and something has to happen.
yeah.
More
So
dramatic than putting them on birth control, I guess, because they'll
it's not
still
working.
go in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, something needs to
So
happen.
can we ask for the town to look at that structure and make it secure so that pigeons can't get in?
We've already done that.
But it hasn't happened though.
Oh.
No.
See, this is the problem of like, what do we do to make it more urgent or escalate it? But
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it is pretty disgusting.
yeah, well, I really noticed when the post office and the hotel became renovated, the number of pigeons in town went down significantly. So I think when you reduce the habitat for them, definitely they find other places to live. So when the town's sheltering them, it's kind of,
Yeah.
counterproductive to some of the other stuff we're trying to do. But
So what should we be doing here at this committee then? I mean, it's a designated property, so.
yeah, I don't know what the next, can a committee make a property standards complaint?
I have no idea.
I don't know how, I've never filed
Carl?
a property standards complaint.
Let me look into that. That's
Okay.
I guess a suggestion here that ultimately we want to hold ourselves to a standard that's also let me look into that very specific question.
Okay, thank you. So project updates. How are you doing there, Jenny? You'll be.
I have to
yeah,
run
yeah.
shortly, very shortly.
It's already 5:15.
It's okay.
Yeah. The Algonquin College project update. Rudy?
Be very fast. So we've received the forms that they were filling out for the 400 properties that they reviewed and a corresponding sort of list. But we're going to meet up with them. Dorothy, Carl, and I are meeting up with Algonquin College next week to suggest what they might put in a summary for us, like which properties, are top that we want to, look at designation, that sort of thing. That's my update.
We'll have so many on the list. We've got 22 of them, is it, coming out of the area study that we should be looking at. And then the ones we already had on our list to begin with, and now a bunch more. It's a daunting task. But-
Maybe with the consultant's stamp on the 22, council will be more politically.
Yes,
doing
yeah,
it.
that was one of the things I was wondering about. Well, what information do they have on those 22 that they could transmit to us, so that they must they must meet at least 2 criteria, which was throughout the report. Everything had to meet at least 2, hopefully 3.
Yeah.
So those 22 must meet at least 2 criteria. And they are listed in the report, so I'm going to go around and look at them, figure out which ones they are, and take pictures of them. 22. Now we're on to round table, I guess. Chris, anything else for
Made mine agenda items. So I can...
Dawn? Jenny?
Just a quick thing. Carl and I sat down with Kathy Botham for an interview with FYI TV this morning.
Thank you for doing that.
Yes, that was about the symposium. We're trying to get the word out, so that I think will air tomorrow for the first time at 5 p.m. or 7 p.m., Carl?
7, I believe.
7 p.m. I think it airs again on Friday. I think it will be uploaded to YouTube as well, so we can share it around once that gets done.
Good.
Wait.
Thank you for doing that.
Excellent.
Carl, anything?
Just quickly, one other action from council last night was that a contract was awarded for the replacement of the Confederation Bridge. It'll be sort of a wood structure that was sort of what's been looked at for the last little while. The couple of pieces for relating to the Heritage Committee that Director McMahon will be looking for is finalizing the commemoration, the panels that we have. I know our summer student worked on that. They're also going to be salvaging some of the equipment from, or some of the hardware from the existing bridge, which is going to feed into the entry features on both accesses to the main bridge. So we'll be reporting back to the committee and just finalizing getting your blessing on the language and the images that would be used in the pedestals.
Speaking of pedestals, I did notice that the one outside the station theater is terrible. It's ruined. It's all cracked and curled and faded, and I don't suppose we would want to have a new one there, would we?
But are these pedestals what we really want? Because they don't seem to be standing up.
No, they don't, do they?
So one piece of work that development services staff have been undertaking is research into alternative materials, potential suppliers, and ultimately we'll be looking, every year council sets aside some money for the Municipal Heritage Committee, and I think once we have a little bit more information on that question, ultimately it may come down to a question of, do we replace or update many pedestals or fewer pedestals with a sort of a higher quality, more durable material? So Marie, you've been sort of leading that charge. Do you have an update on when we might be able to share those findings?
Not anything more from the last committee meeting, when I just let them know that I have been looking at getting some quotes. We got some good contacts on who does the provincial, by Jenny, on who does the provincial plaques. So I'm just waiting on information, really, and progress has been slow just because other priorities have been.
In the meantime, though, they continue to deteriorate and look terrible. So do we just leave them there the way they are? And...
Did we ever do the inventory of where they all are? And
yes,
that was done this summer.
Toby updated that, didn't
he? He did.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then the 3 worst ones were picked.
Correct.
But well, they must have been really terrible if they were worse than the one outside the station theater.
I'll be very interested in getting the quotes in, because I took a picture. I don't have it on this phone. I was in Embrun recently, and they have a heritage trail there. It used to be their railroad, and they have the pedestal that you're talking about with a nice etching and similar to what the province uses, and the raised lettering. It's not in that great a shape either. And I went, oh boy, if even metal is hard to. What do you do? I should have.
Yeah.
I wish I had the picture with me, but I don't. I'll circulate it.
Yeah.
So these pedestals that are in really bad shape, can we ask to have them taken down?
Well, that would be the alternative, wouldn't it?
I would think that if they're in bad shape, why leave them standing there looking terrible?
Ah.
You know, because then it takes everything down.
Yeah.
It does. It looks bad.
Yes.
But at least when they're up and they look bad, maybe it helps with some political will to, because if they're out of sight, out of mind kind of thing, but if they're standing there looking awful, I love pointing them out to other councillors, you know, we need more money for this, you know.
Well, it's an important part of tourism, and
Oh, it certainly
it's
is.
a very important part. I can imagine people going around saying, look at that, why haven't they fixed that?
I live across from the walkway from Lower Ridge Park to downtown. I live across from that. I can see it from my kitchen window. And the people that go to that pedestal there and read,
Oh, yeah.
it's just amazing, you know. So that's the one I can see all the time. So I'm thinking to myself, people are reading these as they're going along, and people are enjoying the history that they're finding out about the town, the buildings, whatever. So we definitely do need the pedestals there, but we need really nice ones that last.
Yeah, spend the money once and
Yes. Yes. So it's more than what these ones cost, but if they're going to last.
Okay, well, maybe we'll talk about that next time as well, or maybe we'll have more information. But
That'd be good.
it really bothers me the way they look. Just doesn't make the town look good at all.
no.
Agree.
Anything else for roundtable?
I do. That was a great segue, the pedestals. Thank you. So Old Home Week is looking, they're very interested in having someone from the committee do the walking tours. And the date that they were suggesting, August 2nd through 9th, anytime in there. So if you want to think about that, maybe we can get a date to them.
Oh, we just pick a date?
Yeah, so if you're interested in conducting the Heritage Walking Tour, they said they'd be very interested to schedule something between August 2nd and 9th. Simply need to know the details so that they can add it to the event calendar. That's all they need.
Okay, well, I'm not sure that once would. I mean, what if there was a huge crowd of people then? If we only
Right.
did it once, you know, like 15 people is about the maximum that you can cope with on the sidewalk with traffic roaring by, and for them to be able to hear what you're trying to say about the building. And I can't imagine that there would only be 15 people in a whole week that would want to do that. Chris?
Maybe if we pick a time of day or every I don't know if we want to do it every day, but you could say, if we had enough people to do it every day, we could say every day at 2 or every day at a certain time or every second day or something.
I mean, I'm happy to do it, but I don't think I want to do it every day for a whole week. So, wonder if we could ask Tony, because Tony.
I think Tony was doing some
This
with the
summer.
DBA this summer.
Yeah, Tony might
So
certainly.
then he could fill in. You know, like you could have Tony and you could do, and then there'd be a couple of different people there.
Yeah. Because
So ask Tony.
Tony and I have both done it in the past, and I'm sure that our tours are slightly different, but it's still, you know, the same, the historic downtown.
And to alternate between the two of you then for that week. So August 2 to 9, like Chris said, you know, estimate or guess 2 p.m. every day alternating.
Well, yes, that's 7 days.
For further discussion.
Yes, but
If I did maybe 1 or 2 with you, I could
yeah,
probably pick maybe some up later in the week. I don't know what the script is, or I don't know I've never done it before.
But could we go ahead and say, all right, we'll have it these particular days, and then they can get it into their agenda so we know it's going to be promoted.
Okay.
And then you could work on who's going to do it. And
we could maybe offer it every second day.
Every second day.
What about that?
Yeah.
Is it that's a 7-day period, right?
Why don't we just
Yeah.
put it back to them and say, how do you feel about a fixed time on days, and see
Yeah.
what they think? If they were thinking of like a one event, just make sure they're okay with that kind of
Mhm.
more fluid option, and then advise us some
I would
time to-
almost think we should be making the decision because I think they're overwhelmed. You know, trying to get everything booked in. So I think they would be
Yeah.
quite happy for us to,
Just to
To
just
say.
tell them.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking if we can get a month to talk to Tony and make sure he's
Sure.
okay, and
Yeah.
Okay.
see. I don't. Was there any other people doing them back when it was on the weekends, or?
Well, there were students from the Heritage House, I think, or students at the town. There were. I can't remember who they were, but
Maybe some of the
There were
Heritage House
some-
volunteers could take a day, or
yeah. So perhaps you can tell them that we'll take on organizing, you know, who would do it and when, and we'll get back to them.
I will let them know.
and maybe if they have a good time of day, like if they know, I don't know, if their plan is every day at certain times they have other stuff going on, we can make sure we're not doubling up on.
The middle of the afternoon in August is going to be pretty hot.
Yeah.
So I'd rather, if I was going to do it, I think I'd rather do it in the morning.
Yeah.
But
I think they're leaving it up, the direction that we kind of have is that they're leaving it up to you.
okay,
Seed has been planted.
yes,
10 a.m.
sure. Yeah, 10 a.m. That's a good
If
time.
they say no, we can change it, but that's a start.
But that's a good,
It's early enough, but not, yeah.
not too early.
Okay, so we'll in another month we should be able to firm that up. So that's it. Would someone move that we adjourn? No, next meeting. That's the next thing. Tuesday, November 12th, and now adjournment. You move,
Now we-
Dawn moves that we adjourn, so we are so adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Right on the hour.
You're pretty good on keeping these meetings going, aren't you?
Well,
Very good.
try. And now, an hour should be long. What depends on you know what your subjects are. But, when I was working for the school board, I was a consultant, so there were meetings and meetings and meetings. And I remember somebody saying once, if you can't accomplish what you want to accomplish in 45 minutes, the rest of the time you're wasting.
We got to get Dorothy
Oh,
to do an
sorry.
orientation
I have
for
to
all
tell
the other
him to,
committee.
Sorry, just give me a second to let Sean know.
But we're still alive for all that.
Yes, well, that was
That's
okay.
good wisdom.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, that was from people who were in meetings all day. And